Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome aboard to all of my new and returning subscribers. Let's get into the show. So, Rachel has hit the social media again in a desperate bid to bury this Sentebale scandal. Now, interestingly enough, Harry has actually made an official statement regarding what has happened with Sentebale, and he's essentially said that his heart is broken and he's devastated by what has happened. So he's spoken to Hello and he's summarized it like this. In his full statement, the Duke said, "From the inception of Sentebale nearly 20 years ago, Princessa and I have had a clear goal to support the children and young people in southern Africa in memory of our mothers. What has transpired over the last week has been heartbreaking to witness, especially when such blatant lies hurt those who have invested decades in this shared goal. No one suffers more than the beneficiaries of Sentebale itself. On behalf of the former trustees and patrons, we share in the relief that the Charity Commission confirmed they will be conducting a robust inquiry. We fully expect it will unveil the truth that collectively forced us all to resign. We remain hopeful this will allow for the charity to be put in the right hands immediately for the sake of the communities we serve." The Charity Commission statement has also said the regulator for charities in England and Wales has opened a regulatory compliance case to examine concerns raised about the charity Sentebale. The Charity Commission is now in direct contact with parties who have raised concerns to gather evidence and assess the compliance of the charity and trustees past and present with their legal duties. The regulator's focus, in line with its statutory remit, will be to determine whether the charity's current and former trustees, including its chair, have fulfilled their duties and responsibilities under charity law. The Commission is not an educator or mediator and is guided by the principle of ensuring charities fulfill their primary duty to their charitable purpose and beneficiaries. After a period of assessing the initial concerns raised with the Commission, the regulator informs the charity on the 2nd of April 2025 it has opened a regulatory compliance case. The regulator has not made any findings at this time. And so, of course, it's going to take them a while to dig through the evidence and to come up with a sufficient conclusion and give us the answers that, of course, we are all seeking in this case. Everybody wants to get to the bottom of it and we want to get to the truth. From what I've deduced from this statement, they're going to be investigating the activities, and I believe that it could involve financial misconduct. It must have that in some leg of the investigation in order to deduce who's doing what, and was money mismanaged, was it misspent, was it sent out to other fractures of Harry's charitable endeavors, which aren't really charitable, they're just profit kind of money making scams, really. How was the charity used on a day-to-day basis? Who was being paid? Why was they being paid? Why was they hired? What was their expertise? So on and so forth. I personally believe that with a board that was unchanged and stale, if you can put it in so many words, as Dr. Sophie Sentebale has said, the board hadn't changed in 19 years, and Baroness Chalker was an example of that. She was 82 years old, or she is 82 years old, sorry, and she had only just resigned last year. So she had been on the board since inception, along with Harry and his other main trustee, Prince Sesso, who collectively they had both decided to create this Sentebale, which means forget me not charity, in order to remember their mothers in memory of their late mother's passing. I think that there was misdeeds done, and of course we're all going to see it laid bare out in the open. Meanwhile, this is going on. The Sussex squad, the bullying Sussex squad is in full swing, Meghan's sugars, and they have actually put together a petition in order to have Dr. Sophie Sentebale removed from the board. They are alleging that under her leadership, an estimation of $600,000 slash £427,000 was mismanaged and misspent upon hiring directors and staff members to clean up Harry's mess. Now, allegedly, between the years of 2023, when she ascended to become the chair of the board, until 2024, all the way up until now, really, she spent a large portion of the income from the charity on those with more expertise in order to get the charity back on track. Now, for me, it's quite blatantly obvious as to why she had done this. When Harry stepped back with Meghan and he left the UK and he refused to act as a charitable member or extension of the royal firm. He essentially said, I'm seeking to earn my own money. He gave back the public funding, which funded the elaborate £2.1 million that was spent on renovations for Frogmore Cottage, which they had to pay back to the UK taxpayer because they was publicly funded, obviously, when they were serving in the British royal family. He became a private individual, which meant that everything that was connected to him, which was funded by benefactors, people who support these charities and leave these charities in their will, so to speak, pulled out. And so they had this big caveat from the pandemic going on till now of missing money that they couldn't really replace. And so she was appointed as chair of the board to kind of sweep up and fix the mess that Harry and Meghan had left behind. And I imagine that put her in a desperate, dire position because no one in the history of, I guess, in any charities that are headed by any royals have seen anything of the like. It was rather stable for the last 15 years up until this point when Harry took up with this money grabbing ragland woman. And so she had to source expertise. So it makes perfect sense to me in her defense as to why she was looking to seek expert counsel, which is going to cost you a pretty penny. The sponsors were dropping, and she had to figure out how to get new sponsors. Now, just to get to the last part of this video, I'm going to talk about the way in which WME has essentially rammed Meghan's fake product drop to her celebrity friends. And didn't I say this in my previous video? I said I would like to actually see who actually purchased this product, which I don't think anybody did. So she's posted these pictures to make it look good on social media, with Kris Jenner notably receiving one of her jam gift boxes, which was never available for sale. So it was clearly something that was a batch of maybe 20 items or 100 items just for the A-listers in Hollywood. And I guess they'll all just fund her passion project, her hobby, and keep her afloat somehow. I don't know how much jam Kris Jenner and the Kardashians can eat collectively to keep Meghan's tanking brand that isn't even trademarked at this point afloat. But I digress. So she sent a box to Zoe Saldana, she sent a box to Kris Jenner, and she sent a box to a lady called Tracy Robbins, I believe, who kind of made a bit of a mocking joke towards the end of her video. And she says, I really hope there's some jam in there because we love a bit of jam. Now, everybody can see that the jam was never ever for sale. And she did promise us jam. Not that I was ever going to buy it, but she did promise us jam. She said, you know, everybody knows that jam's my jam and I love jam. There'll be jam. And then she goes on the Drew Barrymore show and she talks about a raspberry spread and how it's not really jam. And then she drops, or she has this fake launch and she bangs on about how she sold out. But the whole time, the one thing that was the main thing that she went onto the Drew Barrymore show to promote and has been promoting, isn't even ready. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, so another lady has received a box from Meghan, and she's called Annie Bing. I hope I'm getting that right. A major blogger. And she's essentially arse licking at this point. And it's just kind of sad to watch. But that's just basically to summarize where they're at with it all. She's not going to get real sales, is she? She doesn't have a viable business. She doesn't have a public persona. You can send as many boxes out to the friends or the people in Hollywood who happen to live in Montecito, but I mean, no one's buying it. Just like Kamala Harris tried to, well, she did hire the whole of Hollywood, and still Donald Trump won. It's just not going to wash, Meghan. I'll be back with another video. Bye, guys.